Hello, my name is Matthew Kitzman and I want to thank you today for your time to take a look at these videos in regards to our air duct cleaning business which we have for sale. A quick overview. I want to talk about the company, I want to talk about our journey as a company, and also ultimately why we've decided to sell it. We started in 2003, just myself and a helper, and saw a lot of success in this industry. Shortly after our start, we decided to further get into aspects of the air duct cleaning company and got into selling a lot of upsell items such as whole house indoor air quality systems, whole house filtration systems, and we just had great success with that. So much so that we kept growing the company until in 2011 we decided to branch out and create a second division of the company, dealing more so with building maintenance items, dealing primarily with commercial properties. We saw extreme rapid growth in that division, much more so than we had anticipated, so much so that we actually have now over 35 employees on that side alone, which is kind of what brings us to why we're here today. Because of the rapid growth and the growing pains of building that division, we saw that our attention to the air duct cleaning side really suffered. We got to the point with, because of staffing, we were turning down jobs or referring jobs to our competitors, and we really had to analyze this, and it was the last part of 2014 we really started looking at that we needed to make a move on what we were going to do. And ultimately it was a very hard decision to make, but because of the great success of our building maintenance division, we decided that we're going to sell the air duct cleaning company, which was hard because it is a company that I started from scratch. But nonetheless, I would love to see this company continue to flourish with somebody else who has the time to be able to spend with it, and I know I can help them become as successful as I was. A little bit about me: I have 6 years of college dealing specifically in commercial heating, ventilating, also residential commercial heating, ventilating, and air conditioning, as well as different aspects of building maintenance. We, as an air duct cleaning company, not only did residential, but one area we were able to outshine a lot of our competitors was commercial. We've done commercial properties up to buildings that are over 200,000 square feet. Because of my HVAC background, this allowed us to clean some of these buildings where some of our competitors, who maybe were a carpet cleaning company that used this as an add-on, or maybe just didn't have HVAC experience or understanding of how these systems work, how they're designed, and basically how to clean them appropriately. What is included in on this? Well, first and foremost is success. I was greatly successful in this, I am greatly successful in this, and I will make sure that the new owner has that success. How do I set you up for success? Well, first and foremost, wherever it is that you are, I will come to you for 1 week for a very intense training, which will be included in on the purchase price. And I will train you on everything you need to know. How to clean ducts is the basic. How to run the company overall. How to market. How to advertise, and more importantly, how not to advertise. That's an area where a lot of money can be wasted. How to upsell. Show you different products you can upsell. Show you how to install some of these products. If it's something you're interested in, I can teach you how to do sheet metal fabrication. Basic fabrication will allow you to put in whole house filtration systems where you have to redo some of the sheet metal. It's a very easy thing to learn, and it's a very great upsell. You will get our customer list. You will get all of our marketing materials. One of the most important things you're going to get is our database. A few years back, we invested a large amount of money into a customized database, which is an incredible tool for helping you stay on track as an air duct cleaner. First and foremost, we have call sheets. When you call in, the very first question that's asked is, how did you hear about us? And there's different check boxes to fill this out, and all this information is entered into the database. That way you can run a monthly report. You can find out exactly which advertiser you're getting your money's worth and how much you're making off that advertiser. If you put down, if it was a phone book, which one? Was it a referral from another heating company? Was it a referral from a neighbor or a previous customer? Did they see your truck? Are you belong to a marketing group and they're a member of that, or heard from that? There's so many different areas, and you can narrow down where your dollars are best spent. That's one of the best ways to make money, is to save money in your advertising and know where you're getting your investment back. The other extremely powerful part of this database is it keeps you on track, because every time that you enter a customer in, it tracks where you're at with that customer and what actions yet need to be completed. For example, if on the first call they didn't commit, it makes sure that you call them back on a regular basis. Also, once you've done a completed job, did you send them out a handwritten thank you card, which is a very important thing. And also tracks all of that stuff to put together on your close rates and everything. This is the first of a 17-part video series. Most of the videos to follow are going through all of our equipment, what it all looks like, how it works, all the trucks we use. We have 2 trucks and enough equipment to set up 2 complete crews. I'm really excited to share this with someone and ultimately find someone I can partner up with, negotiate an appropriate price for this company, and ultimately set them up for success. Thank you very much for your time. Again, my name is Matthew Kitzman, and I look forward to talking to you. Please call me at 507-292-8862. Have a blessed day. Okay, on to our gas-powered negative air machines. Our primary unit are the General by Meyer Machine. These are gas-powered machines. There's plenty of videos out there that show these in operation. 20-horse Kohler motors. Like I've explained in many videos, we run one truck year-round. We run a secondary truck about half the year in the summertime, or in the springtime and the fall time, which is the height of air duct cleaning. So we run 2 trucks in those 2 applications. When the truck is not in use for air duct cleaning, it is in use for doing some of our other maintenance items with our other part of our business. So like some of the other machines you saw with like the negative air machines, we do have customized pallets for these. This is our primary unit. It's our newer one, and this is the one that runs on the truck about half the year. When it's not in use, we do have it on this pallet strapped on, and it goes right up into the pallet racking, so it's up and out of our way. We do disconnect the bag, as you can see, which it is laundered and placed in this garbage sack behind it. We have run a boat tank, as you can see, with quick connects for each one of these. The newer unit has a little over 500 hours on it. This unit here has about 2,700 hours on it. Really no difference in performance. The old one works just as good as the new one does. I have another extra bag here. The bags we use, I believe, are 4 foot in diameter by 8 foot long, and just blows directly out the side, which we found is the most convenient way to use them. We have a T here that we've constructed out of 12-inch PVC that can be used in various ways to actually connect these together. We've had some commercial runs where we had just about all the pipe you saw earlier run out, and we hook these together and really get as much power as we can. It works very well. I have a tarp there. We can run these in the rain. However, if it does get more than a sprinkle, we do tarp the bag just so it doesn't get too wet and reduce the airflow through it, reducing performance. We also do have an insulation removal kit. So this orange or red flange you see here, well, actually we would remove one of the flanges in front here and place that in its place. It's longer because it does not have the safety bars that you'll see hash marked in there. So you want to, for safety, it is a bit longer to try to discourage someone from reaching in there. And then we have a brand new bag of the disposable insulation bags here. I believe there's 12 of them in there. Yeah, 12 of them. So these bags can be connected to this, and once they're full of insulation, you can throw them right in the dumpster. Or if you have a dumpster on site, we can tarp the top of the dumpster, put a pipe on the top of this, and then pipe it right into the dumpster. We work with a lot of fire and water restoration companies, and the insulation removal is a nice add-on, very profitable. Typically, we would use one of the reducers that you saw in the previous hose video and reduce this down to 6-inch and use the black 6-inch hose. If you haven't seen that, revert back to the hose video, which you can still have that. The 6-inch are just a lot easier to work with. If it's a long ways away, I may run our 8 or 12 up into the house and then convert down to the 6 when we get to the attic spot. It just kind of depends on the situation. Do another walkthrough here. When the second one is not in use, we do keep a battery maintainer on it to make sure that the batteries stay in good health. Oil and fluids, so we do a full round of maintenance every 100 hours on these, which includes the air filter, the fuel filter, the oil is changed. And really that's the key, to doing good maintenance to make sure these run for a long time. Okay, let's talk about electric negative air machines. We have 3 units here. We'll start on the end. We have 2 of these are the AirCare TurboJet 3200A. This is a squirrel cage style. Lots of suction on these guys. There's 3 different ring sets or collars you can get. The 16-inch, 12-inch, which is the gray part that's attached, and we adapt down to an 8 generally. A lot of times we will stick an elbow on the top, much like you'll see on this unit here. These have a triple stage filtration. The first stage is a cloth filter that is washable. There's 2 stages of primary filters. There's the cloth kind, and we also have these 2 basket style, which are also washable. Really just kind of depends on the application for which one you're going to use. Secondary has a washable filter here, and then the wood strip you'll see is a HEPA filter. It's about 4 inches thick. We also, in this box back here, have extra HEPA filters for these, ready to go. I think I've owned these guys over 10 years. I've only changed out the HEPAs once. So as long as you keep them very clean and are diligent with cleaning them after every job, you're going to get a lot of life left on there. We also have extra of the cloth filters up here. Heavy duty gauge cords with GFCIs on every unit. This unit here has about 750 hours on it. This one has about 950 roughly. Can show you the back side and what the controls look like. It has a manometer here, which tells you your inches of water column, so you can watch how much suction, your loss of suction as the filters start to plug up. Also has the stair crawlers on them, which works great. You can run these things laying down as well, which is the reason there's 2 sets of handles as well as wheels up on the top here. You'll notice this unit is sitting on a custom-made pallet. We have another one here that's custom-made that goes with the other unit. Typically, these are not used a ton. We use them primarily for commercial jobs, so when they're not being used, they are affixed to these pallets with straps, as you can see. And we have pallet racking in our shop and a forklift, and we just stick them up on the pallet racking so they're up and out of our way. Takes just moments to get them down, but these pallets would go with it should you want to do the same thing. Another application these are great for is, you'll see that this roll here is called lay flat tubing. You pull that out and it's actually a plastic pipe, and you cut it to length. So with big commercial applications, sometimes you're way too far to get a gas powered unit in there. We'll bring these in. We'll actually usually pull the HEPA filter in this, just leave the primary filter, and then you're exhausting the air out the building. So you can find a window to bring that out. Works very, very efficiently. We've used this, we've done several times apartment complexes with up to 100 units, where we just go from unit to unit. We open up their patio door, clamp the lay flat tubing on the railing of their deck, and then go ahead and clean the air ducts, and that way we're able to do 8 or 10 of them in a day and really move quickly. Moving along here, we have an abatement technologies. This is a H2200. This is a little different style model. This one is a reverse incline with a high frequency drive, so it packs a lot of punch into a small little model here. We do keep on top, we adapt down to 8-inch and elbowed over. This one just came off a dryer vent job. I actually purposely left it dirty so you can kind of see what the filter would look like after it does a primary clean. So this, again, we're using the cloth style pre-filter, and then there's a large cylindrical HEPA filter underneath it. I don't have it sitting here, but this comes with an extra HEPA filter as well. Also have the material we use, we just cut out blanks and then wrap them around. There's these little pipes that come around the inside, so we can continually change out those pre-filters. We will vacuum them out, and you'll get several jobs per, but then after that we'll replace them, and it's very inexpensive. These are our pogo stick system, which are another extremely handy tool. Basically, it's a 2 foot by 2 foot square unit sitting on about 2 inches of foam. So you can imagine you're going to use this inverted, so this part would be up on the ceiling and the pogo stick would hold it in place. These are great when you're doing office buildings and you have like a 2x2 ceiling tile grid. If you have a unit that's in the ceiling where there's no return, or they're using the ceiling grid as a return, you can use these to actually choose one of the supplies to use as a suction point and work your way backwards towards that. Another great use for these is we also have several laundromats that we take care of that have individual dryer vents out the back of the building, and we will take this pogo stick and from the outside we'll stick the pogo up onto the unit. Generally we'd be using a General or a gas powered one, and from inside we run the whips. Again, very efficient way to do it. All of these have multiple configurations on how you want to set them up and utilize them, but this would be our electric negative air units. Okay, for compressors, we're back in the main truck here, and this is our main compressor that's permanently mounted in here. This is an Ingersoll Rand, mounted on it's a 30-gallon tank. Have a couple of different types of hookups there for the different hose connections we use. You'll be able to reference that in our air hose video. This is a 13-horse Honda with a 2-stage pump. This one here pumps up to, we set all these to cut off at 200 psi. This one does a little over 20 cubic feet per minute at 200 psi. This one is serviced here twice a year, the beginning of each busy season, and been a great machine. On to our second one down here. Excuse me, it's kind of a gloomy day and I got the door open and there's some traffic, so the lighting and noise might... This one of course is strapped to a pallet like some of our other stuff. This is the one that is used on the truck about half the year, so then it's put on the pallet rack when it's not in use. This compressor was actually custom built for us by Eaton Compressor. We wanted the biggest punch in the smallest package we could because we knew this would come in and out of the truck. So when it's in the truck, it is strapped into there, but it is a mobile unit, as you can see. This has a 8-horse Honda with a triple cylinder 2-stage pump, 2 primaries and 1 secondary. I believe it's a 17-gallon tank, and this one does about 17 cubic feet per minute at 200 psi. To this day, I don't believe they make one this large in this small package. Again, we had it custom made several years back. Great company, which is still in business. Great customer service. So if there's anything that's ever needed for this, they are available. But these are our 2 main compressors. Okay, let's talk about suction hose we have here. First up are the 12-inch hoses. We have 7 of those total. The first 6 are heavy-duty hoses, which we would use with gas-powered machines such as the General. This clear-looking one is a light-duty hose, which we would use primarily with an electric machine. The next set, we get into the 8-inch hose, which we have a total of 9 of those. The first 7 are heavy-duty, again used for gas-powered machines. And then we have 2 over here, the light ones that are used on electric machines. You will notice that all of these here have the black quick couplers, which connect these together very rapidly, saves a lot of time. We have 2 lead hoses here, which have the quick connects that connect to the duct work. We actually have 5 of those total for different configurations. And we also have 2 6-inch hoses. These are primarily used for insulation removal. We have an insulation removal kit that goes onto the General for doing that type of work. And then we have several adapters, mostly in commercial applications. We may adapt these in several different configurations to get the job done correctly, be it Y-pipes or elbows. These are a bunch of different ways to connect and adapt to the ducts. You'll notice that the electric ones don't have the quick connects. They actually use a different kind of clamp such as this to connect those. But I'll give you another overview of the hoses. In total, there's 18 suction hoses for a total of 450 feet. We would typically divide these up into 2 trucks and carry 9 hoses per truck, or 225 feet. Here's some additional adapters and clamps. Another 12-inch male quick connect. These are 2 12-inch taps basically. If you're not using one of those yellow quick connects, you can use these to adapt to a duct. Also, these work great for adapting to the front of the large electric negative air machine for the lay flat tubing. That's how we would use those. 4 more 12-inch quick connects, and then 2 more of the large bands for attaching, permanently attaching the large suction hoses to the quick connects over there. Also have an assortment here of zone bags. These would be for large commercial application where you want to puff this up inside of an air duct to zone it off if you're only cleaning certain parts at a time, especially if you're using electric machines, which are going to have less power than the gas ones. You'll use a zone bag. I believe a couple of these are for parts. There's 5 there total. All right, let's talk about camera systems and robotics. We have 2 camera systems that you can use if you're doing in-home inspections, which we did at one time. We also have a robot built by Nicro, which we use for commercial applications, which works just amazing. I'm going to set the robot up here and show you what that looks like. All right, I have the robot all set up, so let's kind of take a look at all the different options we can do with this machine. Currently I have it going into our camera over here. You can see my hand, but a little about the robot. So it has large tires in the back, and it has these tracks basically, which are great for when you're inside of a duct that has insulation. The top here has a turret, which we can mount various types of whipping tools. We actually have several turrets, which you can see over here, of different sizes depending on what your application is. If we've done ducts that are 3 feet tall, we'll put in a very large turret first and whip the top section, and then we may drop down to a mid-level one like this. And then we also have an air wash system. This is one we just came up with ourselves. They have one that comes with this robot. I just didn't like it. It didn't work very well. Pieces would fall off, so we just took an air sprayer, which works amazing with 200 psi coming out of there, and we just drag 2 hoses. Our main hose goes down here, our secondary hose here. It's clamped together with this, and then we just have a control line, and we can just plug in both at the same time or one or the other. A lot of times in these big commercial systems you get a lot of heavy debris, so we'll first whip it, and then we'll go through and then just air wash everything towards our suction, which works well. Here's our control panel. As you can see, we can control the light. We have a control how much light we're going to have. This is an external lamp here. If you're not using this, which usually comes with the clamp, there is bulbs all the way around the main camera. This main camera also comes off the robot and can be used independently, which we can talk about in a sec. Here's what the controls look like. So it's a variable frequency drive. We can control how fast we're moving the robot, all the directions. This has built-in audio, so if you flip this switch on and you have your audio hooked up, you can actually narrate while you're cleaning. So you could, if you had a client that wanted to see what was going on, you could actually produce them a video. We have, so let's see if you can see this, if I can back up a little bit. We can go very, very slowly. We can crank it up, and it just turns like this. You can kind of see, you can see what it sees. Very, very controllable. As far as, we'll talk about the camera, I guess. Well, maybe we'll talk about the control line. So we have 200 feet of control line, which in most situations is going to be plenty. And then we would put, 100 or 200 feet of each one of the hoses on there that it would drag with. The machine is very heavy, so we've had no problem dragging, 150 feet of all 3 hoses, the control line and the multiple air lines. The camera itself, like I said, comes off. A couple thumb screws and this comes off. This can be used independently as a camera. So actually here's one of the carts. You can actually affix that camera to this cart and use control rods, which we have in the Viper whip system, which you saw previously, and push this into a duct. It has a second camera lead here, which doesn't have all the control features if you're using the robot. If you're just using it as an independent camera, you can use that system. We also have invested in a spray system, which is here. So for example, these are different heights. You can take these and mount them on the robot, and they have a special tip which sprays a cone pattern. Another extremely profitable product you can offer. We've done several commercial buildings where maybe they're worried about mold, and we've applied a Foster's product. This is a drop sprayer we made. We had a multiple story structure where the returns came up. We dropped this line down with a 2000 PSI airless sprayer, and then as the cone sprayed here, we just pulled it straight up and did all the drops. And then we used the robot to do all of the return lines and the supply lines. I think that job added an extra $6,000 or $8,000 to the job. So it's a very, very profitable situation. You know, you're going to find maybe 1 or 2 of those a year, but it's worthwhile to have the investment in all the tools to do so. We have another independent camera system over there, which we'll talk about more in detail in a sec, and several little components, extra belts. As far as the monitoring system, we have a couple different types. Of this big one in a case is kind of old school. On a big jobs, I actually prefer this. All the stuff goes in there, it locks up, and you can actually make a VHS. You can buy a digital recorder for these for about $100 and do it all digitally. If you care to use the smaller monitor, it's very easy. We can simply just, if you don't want to, bear with me 1 second, plug it into this guy. So then you can see we're monitoring, here's my hand, on the smaller monitor, which is, depending on the situation, might be easier to bring in. But I'll put this up on the tripod so you can kind of see maybe another overview of what this guy looks like. Give it a little bit of line here. As you can see, it won't tangle itself up in the lines. But that's our overview of our robot. All right, let's talk about our small inspection camera. There was a time when we did a lot of in-home inspections, or we called them air quality consultations, where we would come out and meet with clients, and then we could talk to them about air duct cleaning, talk to them about all the add-on systems that we sold, and then we can stick this camera down into their ducts so they can really see what they're dealing with. This especially when you're doing going for upsale, be it a hot better filtration system, is absolutely phenomenal. So this system fits into a briefcase. You just take this small little monitor. You can see it folds right up. Still got the factory stickers on it there. Keep it nice. And literally the camera, whole system rolls up onto this, and it's just a tiny little camera. And it's full color, so you can kind of see what we're looking at. And what you would do with this is you would take this into the return. The return system is going to house 80% of your debris. And that's going to be the real showstopper. And then you can also put it into a supply line, which is usually a 6-inch duct. I have a 4-inch duct here, but just to give you an idea of what this looks like, you would reach down into a boot and stick it, inside the duct. And typically they can see, like here. So here's that duct. Typically they can see the dust line. You're probably not going to hear, maybe slightly. You can see the dust line of what's in there. Sometimes you'll see a cat toy, a remote from the TV, but people love this, and then they can see afterwards what you did. So again, great tool. That's our small inspection camera. Let's talk a bit about indoor air quality. Indoor air quality products is an excellent add-on for air duct cleaning, where you can sell the consumer or end user products that can help increase the quality of the air they're breathing. This can be anywhere from easy stand-up units to whole house systems where you're actually redoing sheet metal and installing them. The large ones are the most profitable, and if you're willing to learn how to bend up sheet metal and invest in the proper tools, you can really go a long way with that. We really got into that and have sold several hundred systems where we're actually redoing part of the ductwork and installing these whole house systems. These things vary from $1,500 to $10,000 installed depending on what system it is and what it does. We're a dealer for several companies. One is IQ Air, which is one of the leading companies for indoor air quality products. We also have sold Ultravation. Lint Alert is another company that we resell for, which is for systems dealing with telling you when your dryer vent is clogged up. We'll talk about that more when we get to that section. This particular product that you're seeing here is a product put out by IQ Air, and it is a laser particle counter. Great product for helping you with sales and seeing what you're doing for a customer. Many products nowadays, although I do believe in how some of them work, be it ultraviolet light or photocatalytic oxidation, it's extremely hard to measure it, which sometimes you can appear you're selling snake oil because it's just a matter of whether they feel like it did better. The great part about a particle counter and using the IQ Air products is you can show them what they're buying. So this particular meter here measures air at 0.3 microns. If I remember this properly, that's about 200 times smaller than a human hair. One of the base model was called the Perfect 16, which is a system you can install into their return system. They start about $3,000, and they guarantee to reduce the particle count in the house 90% within 1 hour. I have probably put in 30 or 40 of these systems, and every one of them have done it. They're amazing systems. They also have a bypass HEPA filter system that uses a reverse incline fan motor, and we put one of those in a system, and it pulled the house, literally pulled the air, coming out of the supplies down to 0, and we started with 25 million. So I'm going to give you show you kind of what this particular product does. This counter here it's about a $2,000 investment, and you can put this little tube on so it collects it. Hold the button here, it'll turn it on. Hits on standby. We're going to hit sample, and this is going to draw the first sample, and it's going to give us a new reading every 6 seconds once it starts drawing. Now you also see behind here there's a kit for calibrating this thing. There are several cords for hooking to the computer. So right now this is showing 363,000, 380,000. It's sucking in air and it's measuring particulate, and it's telling us how many particulate at 200 times smaller than a human hair are in the air right now in my shop. The beauty of this is you could show this to a customer, install one of these systems, and when you're done, this will reduce by over 90%. Just amazing tools. You can show people what you're paying for. So I'm going to stop the sample right here. Just been a great investment. Very much helps you sell these products, and I feel confident about these products. They aren't snake oil. They're awesome products that do what they're supposed to do. The other nice thing is you'll see we have some computer cords here. Ethernet cords. This also comes with software, and you can take several readings and hook this up to your computer, and then the software, you can actually create a graph. You could leave this in a house overnight if you wanted to, and you could see maybe if there's certain times of the day it peaks, so you can, if you have a family with severe problems, you can try to help them figure out what's going on, or provide them with a chart or a graph. Maybe an insurance company wants something like this. This allows you to do all that, and comes in this great handy carrying case. I would recommend this for anybody that wants to sell indoor air quality products. It's been an amazing tool. It'll pay for itself in the first couple of sales, as there's a really good margin on most of these things, 100 to 200%. Also have 2 indoor air quality test kits by Air Oasis. These are kits that will test for mold, bacteria, and yeast. And these are ones that you can perform yourself or sell to the clients, and then they can perform the test themselves. Let's go over air whips. and we'll kind of look at the vast array of stuff we have here. We don't typically, as a company, choose one style of air duct cleaning. There are many different styles that we have. We have whipping systems, probably 5 or 6 different styles. We have brushing systems. Because we do residential and a vast array of commercial, there's an application for just about everything. You know, there are some that we use more often than others, but nonetheless we have these various tools at our disposal. Most of the whips which you're going to see here, I have built myself. I can't claim a lot of the design features. I found things I liked on multiple manufacturers and kind of made one that works the best for our company. Along with that, we'll go over, I have a complete kit for making all these, so you can continuously make your own whips. Someone could even get into manufacturing and then selling them if they want, which was something I thought of doing, but we just never had time to go down that venture. We'll start with the very large ones here. These ones are a 1/2 inch line, made of a very rigid tubing. This particular one is a reverse style whip, and we'll go over the details of the heads on a little later, and the type of whip and how to make them. This whip here is used strictly for commercial, generally long chutes. We have several commercial properties that we take care of on a regular basis that have dryer vent shafts, which run up to 8 stories. The one behind this one in front here, I guess I should say, is that one is 25 feet long. The one behind it is a 35-footer and a 25-footer coupled together. For when there's the coupling right there for when we use the drops on this. We have a building that's 8 stories that we do the dryer vent shafts on. These are rigid, they push down really well, yet there are some OGs and offsets in that duct system, and these will still allow it to go around them better than a rigid pipe system, which I'll show you in a bit. Then we have a forward whip system. We have a couple of those. The forward whip is obviously for pushing. The reverse whips, we have a couple of those here. Reverse whips are designed for pulling debris. These are our small whips. We have 3 of those here. These are used, probably the most used tool. It's used basically for pushing in mostly residential. When you have the 6-inch supply lines, we'll push these down it. The larger whips are typically used for returns and trunk lines. And we have all the extra piping. I don't have to show it here, but lots of extra tubing for making these, and all the part numbers for things to make them. Just about all the parts are available at Grainger or McMaster Carr, so it's not a big deal in getting them. Here we have some ball systems. These 2 here are reverse balls. Here's a rather large one, and here's a little smaller aluminum one. These we'll use primarily in dryer vent systems if we need to shoot it down if there's a big plug. We have used these on transient ducts, which are ducts that are in the ground. Sometimes they fill up with sand. They do a great job of pulling large debris. This particular one is a push ball, so it pushes out the end, and the line is much more rigid, so you can push it through if there's a clog in maybe a dryer vent that you have to get out. Typically the dryer vents that we do use the small whip located over here, but in the case where there's a clog, sometimes it's best to run one of these through first, and then we'll hit it with the small forward whip. We do have 2 Viper systems here. Don't use them a lot, and we've actually converted. We have some conversion pieces to use these rods with the design of head that we use. We also have several rod systems. This particular one here can also run with our MaxiVac brush system. I think MaxiVac is the name of it. Dynaprobe, that's the one. Dynaprobe brush system can hook onto these as well. We have a regulator there, and several 4-foot wands and some 10-foot wands. And the lighter colored one is just a little larger diameter. It's a little more rigid. We use these again primarily commercial. We've done return systems in 200,000 square foot buildings where the return system is 5 or 6 stories tall and 10 foot by 10 foot, and we'll take these long rigid ones and just work them around the edges from the top down, or sometimes from the bottom. We'll stick somebody in a full suit and do it from the bottom depending upon the situation, and keep adding the rods and just go down and get it all clean that way. Here's a bunch of hand tools, different 4-foot spray wands, a bunch of little spray wands that we use in our tool bucket every day. This Guard Air is an air-powered vacuum. If you just have to pick something up quick, it fits in the toolbox nicely. If you got your air pressure there and you got to suck something up quick, don't have to worry about getting out a vacuum. That works well. This is a kit we use for building all the whips, which will come with everything, and each one has these are how we put the little pieces in for the ends of the whips. This is where we keep extra parts dealing with pneumatics. This here is all extra air fittings and adapters. These are what the whips look like. So they have a, let me switch the camera here. They have a little ball in the end there that holds it open yet prevents it from pulling through the hole. And then these are what the small whips look like. There's a very tiny one in the end of there. I don't know if that'll focus on that very well. That's what they look like. And then all the tubing, there's enough tubing here to make, I don't know, thousands and thousands of whips. You'd never run out. Plus we have all the extra tubing for making the whips themselves, and the part numbers for making everything. I wanted to go in depth a little more with the Viper system. Here I have all the rods laid out again, but what I didn't show you previously was all the accessories that go with it. Lots of videos on the internet that show you how these work. They're a very versatile system. Here we have a manual that goes with it, the control valves. We have a sprayer wand, and various different types of whips and different applications. This particular one here is a whip with a reverse head on it, so it sprays backwards. These three are a whip in combination with a forward sprayer. All these sprayers are really great when you're moving heavy debris. Here's a couple of just regular normal whips. We have a reverse ball and a forward ball, and then extra tubing for all of these different style whips. So the rest of these whips are whips that we don't keep in the truck, stuff that stays at the shop. Some of them are incomplete, or maybe just need a part or two that just it never. We have several of these, so maybe didn't get fully repaired. So we have 4 different small style whips here. This one here was a kind of an experimental one. This is a 50-footer. We made for a commercial job that had a really long dryer vent, so we made it specifically for that job, and it worked out really well. Then we have 4 more large style whips here, both forward and reverse, that looks like a lot of them just need an end put on them, which most all the parts for that is in the kit that you previously saw. And then here is like a lot of the extra tubing that we have with part numbers for making these whips. Some of these we have had in service for, oh boy, up to 8 or 9 years. So they last a very, very long time. But it is nice to have the ability to make a special one if you have a job that needs that. Also have another reverse ball here. This one is the small aluminum teardrop style for doing dryer vents, or these are great for pulling sand in transient vents. Just an extra one of those. Vacuum and brushing systems. First on the end here we have an AirCare HEPA vacuum. Kind of a shop vac style, but it does have a HEPA filter system in it, which if you're doing jobs in large commercial buildings or hospitals, this is a must-have piece of equipment. We also have several brushing systems here. Primarily use these in commercial applications. The first one is a MaxiVac tube cleaner, which is converted to air pressure, and you can run different brush heads on that. Then we have an AirCare air sweep, which is essentially the same thing. It's made by MaxiVac. As you can see, it's the same unit, just a different color with just some little different controls on how that's run. Then we have our Goodway brush. This is our powerhouse here. This guy will spin up to a 36-inch brush. So if you get into large commercial round, that's where this guy comes in great. All of these brushes here, these three you're seeing now, can also be used for boiler tube cleaning. So you can convert them over to run water versus air. They will do both. And if that's a sideline you wish to get into, that's another option for you. Probably our most versatile brush is this guy right here, which is a pneumatically powered air motor, which you can see on the end here. This is just a little bitty air motor that puts out a lot of power. It's 210 inch-pounds. It'll spin that 18-inch brush there, no problem at all. Since there is no moving cable in here, it's just an air line that's kind of stiff. It doesn't get tangled up. It's really versatile. Probably my favorite one to use there. Then we have some just regular kind of chimney sweep style hand brushes that you would put on a rod if you're wanting to get in and brush something that way. All right, let's talk about power cords and air lines. First up, we have a 100-foot 12-gauge power cord, a 25-foot 12-gauge, a 50-foot 14-gauge, two 25-foot 16-gauge, and one 10-foot 16-gauge. These smaller ones here are primarily used when hooking up fogging machines to apply sanitizer or disinfectant. These larger ones here would be used in assisting to potentially extend an electric machine or lighting, depending on the situation we're in. Starting with airline, the first two here are our primary lead hoses. They are rubber half-inch hoses. This is what we run in through the home first, so we can get enough air in there to run two technicians at one time. You'll see we have a splitter here. This is where we would hook up. Typically this is going to have a terry cloth taped to it to cover it to prevent any damage to a floor. I did take that off so you can see it better. We use TEMA high flow couplers, which we'll talk about a little more in depth in a second. The coupling for this one is a large half-inch safety connection. You can see how massive that is in my hand. How the safety connection works is you'll notice there's a couple of air relief hoses there. You twist it one way, it relieves the air pressure, then you twist it the opposite way to unlock it. It prevents it from flying out and hitting you, because we're running right around 200 psi of pressure in there. Then we would go to our poly lines. This is what we use primarily. Located here in Minnesota, we do this year round. The colder months, the poly lines tend to just stay a little bit more flexible in the winter. But we have two 100-foot poly lines, two 50-foot poly lines. Depending on the size of the home, we would choose either the 100 or the 50 to come off of the lead hose, excuse me. Then we have a 100-foot rubber line and two 50-foot rubber lines. Then we can talk about those air connections here. So the TEMA high flow here, first and foremost, I'm going to compare it to a standard. You guys have probably seen one of these, a standard connection here that would use an end like this, pull back and lock it in. Now I'm going to compare that. These are adapters that I built for hooking up tools or air hoses that don't have the TEMA high flow system. But to compare the difference, this on the right is the TEMA, and this is your standard one. You can see there's a massive difference. You can actually slide one right into the other on how much air volume is going in there. The other advantage of is these, you have to pull back, and with that much air pressure over 200 psi, this can be sometimes a little cumbersome. We do have female employees, and sometimes they can struggle with this a little bit. The nice about this is they're an auto lock, so when you have it, you simply push and it clicks, and then just pull back to release. It stays back. Again, just push and automatically lock. So they're very user friendly. Make your changeovers from your spraying wand to your whip extremely fast. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. I also made a little drawing to tell you kind of the example of how this would work here. So on the left side here is the standard fitting. You're going to see it typically will hit a 90-degree turn about 4 times. Comes in, hits a wall there, turns, and then out. The TEMA has a bit of a teardrop shape, so if you look in here, you can kind of see it. It looks like a bullet or a teardrop shape, and what that does is that allows the airflow to go just around it, very nice and easy. When we changed to this style, it was amazing the amount of power we increased on our whips, so we could really get them to agitate a lot more. So we've had a lot of great success with that, and all our airlines are outfitted with it. Okay, let's go over some tools and equipment. Starting off in the end here, we have a small little shop vac here. These little ones are great. They don't take up a lot of room in the truck. And generally it's not a large mess you're cleaning up, just something small, maybe a lower return that has some garbage in it that you need to suck out of there. Moving over here, we have some rigid battery operated tools, a impact driver, and a couple of these basically like a drill driver that you can move this and twist them down into a more of a pistol shape. These, our techs actually carry them with them. So I can do this one-handed, there we go, while they're on the job for removing and replacing vent covers and such like that. Batteries on these are getting pretty old, probably could use a new set of batteries. Also have a cat double cuts here, 120 volt. Typically don't use this a lot, more for commercial applications when we have thicker sheet metal to deal with. Moving on, we have a small toolbox here with some of the accessories that are kept in it. This one is kept in the back of the box truck, basically for maintenance on like the compressor, which is mounted in there. There's small socket sets, some screwdrivers, a deal for changing out a spark plug if necessary, some more Allen wrenches. Moving on to some of the daily use tools, we have a tool bucket here where most of everything you see here would go inside of it, and we use these are called our tech packs, which we have 2 of those, one for each member of the team. We have a lead and then a tech. Very large flashlight there, mag light. And then on this tech pack here, which basically hangs right on their belt, we have some safety gear for obvious use. We have an LED flashlight, a Sharpie. This here is a little, this folds out. I can do it one-handed here. And then one of these drill drivers here actually hangs right in here. So everything you need is all on your side. We also carry 2 different, a flathead and a Phillips head driver, and then typically we keep a 1/4-inch driver on these units because that's going to be used probably the most. In the main pouch here we have a 6-way for doing anything quickly by hand, and then a utility blade in case there was maybe a register had been painted on and we need to cut around that. So that keeps us good and organized. Moving on a little, we have a headlamp, which a lot of times if you run into an older basement that maybe doesn't have good lighting in the furnace room, you can use that. Some of these little pocket mirrors or extension mirrors are great for looking down a duct that may be a suspicious one. You're curious if you got it all. I have some metallized tape. This is a small little container we use to keep our 1/2-inch zip screws, which we have lots and lots of these, which we'll go over in a sec. We purchased those in bulk and put them in these little containers. 3 2.5-inch hole saws. We have these 2 regular ones and one in here that is inside this little unit. It's called a chip master. So if you're in an area where you didn't want to get metal chips anywhere, you can use this, and this plastic piece catches them. Some extra bits, some Sharpies, your air wands, some of your basic hand tools regarding sheet metal for snips. We have a left and a right straight snip, a left and a right offset snip, hammer, screwdriver, your putty knife, tape measure. You have some Marvel oil there for oiling. We have a pneumatic powered brush system, which we'll go over a little later. A tool for making sure that the tires in the truck are good. Again, this is the bucket we would keep all that in. All this here is all screws. We buy screws in bulk. This one has 49 pounds in it, 33 pounds. There's probably about $500 worth of screws here. Enough to last a lifetime, all these 1/4-inch zip screws. And these are 2 containers as well. This also has 1.5-inch zip screws for when you need something a little longer. For plugs, we have an entire box here. This is probably about 600 left in it of 2.5-inch plugs that we use that just pop in and hold extremely securely after we've made that hole. It also allows future access. We also do use 1-inch plugs, not very often, but now and again when we run into an octopus system that doesn't have a trunk line, we may tap some of the 6-inch ducts with these that have several bends in them to make sure we're getting them in all the way. To go along with what our tech would use is we have these special cardboard buckets where the center has larger pieces and the outsides each have smaller pieces for the two different size ducts you're going to mainly see. Each one of these buckets does a 25 vent house roughly. So if it's 25 or less, you generally would just grab one bucket. If it's larger house, we'll grab two. And then here usually carries blue tape. Also here is templates. We have templates for basically every size furnace filter ever made. Because as a part of our process, and you'd learn in the training, we do block off the filter or segregate the system where the filter is. So here's an overview of some of our hand tools. Okay, let's talk about sheet metal tools, and specifically with manufacturing access doors. We have a stack of several dozen access doors down here that will be going with the sale. These we make ourselves. They are a 10 by 10 double folded metal door with a 1-inch hem all the way around the back. 8 screws will go in this, and these will cover up the 8-inch holes you'll cut in the air ducts to access for our suction. You'll find that buying these, it's upwards of $4 to $5 a piece. We can make them for less than $1. So first off, we have a step over here, a jet combination machine here. This is a shear, which is down here for cutting sheet metal. It's a brake for bending sheet metal, which is right here, and a roll for rolling sheet metal if you got into fabricating multiple different kinds of sheet metal. In this application, we primarily use its shearing function, and then we use the bar folder, which is the machine back here, to do the bending. So I'm going to put the camera on the tripod here, and I will show you roughly what we do. We have a jig set up here. What this is if you were laying this out by hand, you would scribe a 1-inch mark all the way around this, and then you would take a 45-degree measuring tool and scribe 45 around here, and then you would cut that 45-degree angle. That's a lot of layout work. By having this jig set up, we don't have to make any marks in the sheet metal. We simply cut out the sheet metal blanks, which are 12 by 12. We buy the sheet metal in 4 by 8 rolls, 4 by 8 sheets, and then we roll them up. It's laid out on a bench. We use some layout tools such as these straight rolls here. So we lay out all the 12 by 12 blanks, cut them out with an electric shear, and then we have the 12 by 12 blanks, and then we start the process here. This is a scrap piece. It's not actually 12 by 12, but it'll allow you to see what I'm going to do. So this is hand operated by this lever up here. We just slide this in. The measurements are automatic. You simply push down and it shears all the sides. So I'll do all 4 sides. There. So that is set up perfectly for the next step. I'm going to move over here, and you can see the bar folder here. So this then is set up for a 1-inch depth, so it automatically, you put it in here, push it, give it a little pressure so you know you're seated in there. Simply pull it all the way over until it hits. Come back. When you pull it out, it's going to be bent most of the way, but then once you pull it out, you lay it on top and you smash it, and then that's what gets you your hem. So you can lay out dozens of these in just several minutes. We generally cut all the blanks, notch all the blanks, and you come here and you can very quickly hit all 4 corners like this. And again, this is a scrap piece, so it's not the size we would need, but this is an example of what it would look like. So with the sale here, we do have some extra sheet metal. We have several dozen of the access doors already. Unfortunately, the workbench and the vise are not part of the sale, but these 2 pieces of equipment that we just demonstrated are part of the sale for being able to make and manufacture your own access doors. Another side thing that we did for a short period of time, and just for timing stop, that we actually made them for competitors. So that's another potential side business you can do, is make access doors. The ones on the internet are selling again for upwards of $4 or $5 a piece. There could be some good extra money in that. Let's talk a little bit about sanitizing and deodorizing in using our foggers and some of the different chemicals that we use. These are great upsell items. Also, that some of them are very specific chemicals that we would use in certain situations. I would go into more detail in the training, but your basic sanitizer or deodorizer is EnviroCon here. We have a fogger labeled for each one of the chemicals that we use. We also have Oxine, which is a much more aggressive sanitizer. We would use this in cases where we're dealing with mold, things like that. We also use Unsoot number 2 encapsulant, which is typically used in fire jobs. We have relationships with fire and water restoration companies, and whenever there's been a fire, we will use this product to basically encapsulate the inside of the ducts. Again, I would go into more detail in the training. We do have a parts machine right here. This is actually just missing an elbow inside, so it would be easily repaired to put back into service, or it could be used for parts. Moving on with some, I guess, protection items. Well, I guess before I get to that, we do have a tote here where we carry respirators. When we're using the Oxine or the Unsoot, we would be using respirators, gloves, glasses. Going back to protection for their home, we have these corner guards, which we'll use for both air hoses and suction hoses, kind of depending on the situation. Also in this bag here is a door protector that we'll use. I actually have it set up on our shop door here to demonstrate. This is attached, has some elastic material that grabs the back of the door. What you see here is on the other side too. It's got a kind of a sleeve it slides into. There's elastic bands here where it grabs onto the door handle on both sides. It is long for tall doors, but the excess is just rolled over, and then there's a door stop there. So if we're running a hose into this, depending on the season, you know, if it's extreme winter, extreme summer, if we want to keep the heat in or out, these are great. Also with the whole because we care, it's just that extra step that you're going for the customer. Another good marketing and sales tool. All right, next let's talk about dryer vent cleaning and different services that you can perform in conjunction with dryers. First, some of the tools here. This is a specially designed cart for wheeling out dryers. You place it, tip it up, place it in front of the dryer, and the dryer tips back at an angle, sitting on here, and you can roll it out very easily. So this thing comes in very handy. When it comes to cleaning of the dryers, if you remember the whip video, we talked about some of the tools we use for that, be it the ball tools or the whipping tools. Some of the other things that you can do with dryer vent cleaning that you can perform additional services on is a lot of times they need a repair, be it to their pipe. We have different styles of flexible pipe. This is an aluminum flexible pipe. We also use an Innovate product called Dryer Flex, which is one of my favorite products. It allows it to be free-flowing like the aluminum, yet extremely flexible. A great product. I don't recommend any type of the plastic flexible and even the metal style that are really flimsy because they produce a lot of restriction. Another great area where you can increase your sales is using the lint alert. We have 5 of them that will be included in on the sale here. These basically are a manometer. So you tap this hose into the back of the dryer vent. It takes about 5 minutes to put these in, put it into an outlet, and then once you calibrate it simply by pushing one button, it tells the end user, the consumer, when they need their dryer vent cleaned again. I think these are, I don't know, in the $30 range, and we would charge about $150, $160 to put them in, 5 to 10 minutes to install it. So it's a great money maker. Have extra hoses depending upon the situation there. Keep a little kit here that would have our phone number and stuff like that, literature that you can put on it for when they know who to call when it's time to clean the dryer again. This is all the stuff we would use for repairing dryers. And okay, let's talk briefly about home shows. In the residential air duct cleaning market, especially, home shows have been very successful for us. A couple of things that we'll bring to some of these displays which show some of the ultraviolet systems that we install. A lot of times we would have a drawing for maybe a free air duct clean, pass out coupons to get them in there. Here is just a tube of dirt we sucked out. This is a screen off of a dryer vent. Shows you what happens if that screen is in place. Before and after pictures that are laminated, tons of literature. You know, our area. Again, lots of different descriptions on how these processes work, like photocatalytic oxidation and UVA, UVB. But we keep these all in a tote, and when we do a home show, we also have a banner that wouldn't be going with because it has our company name and logo on it. But all you'd really need is get yourself a banner and a tablecloth, and you're already set up for a lot of these. We are dealers for several manufacturers such as Ultravation, IQ Air, Air Oasis. All these are transferable. Here are some of our home show displays. Alright, I wanted to take a second and give you a tour of the truck when it's empty. We just took all the equipment out to inventory and shoot video of each individual piece. So I thought this might give you a different perspective, seeing things you maybe can't see, like the winch, when all the equipment is in there. So starting over here, we've built this, this is our tube rack for hoses, or hose rack you would say. There are 6 tubes in here. They're PVC. The bottom 3 are 12-inch tubes, and they can house the 10-inch suction pipes. The top 3 are 10-inch tubes, which house the 8-inch suction pipes. And what we will generally do is on the bottom 3 we will stick the 10-inch pipe and then an 8-inch inside it. So with the 6 pipes we can haul 9 hoses, or 225 feet. There is also a shelf on the top that runs along the side. I'll get up in here and get a better view. So we have this shelf here that runs the entire length of the truck. The truck is 16 feet long, so that provides lots of storage. We have our hose and whip storage system here. So we have these straps with hooks and rings, and there's 2 of them per. Each one is a different length, which allow for hanging the hoses and the whips. This will make much more sense when we shoot a shot of all the equipment in here, but a very good way of keeping these things organized. We have 5 along this wall. We have a single one down here, and we have 2 of them over top of the compressor. So we'll fire extinguishers. We have 2 in the truck, 1 on top of the compressor here, one in the front of the cab, or the front of the box rather. Storage bins in the front up here. Here's our winch. We just have the hook right there. The winch is controlled from the back of the box. The reason this is in here is if a technician is working by himself, or if it's winter time. We're in Minnesota, we do this year round, the ramp can get slippery. If there's 2 techs, we have a hook that can drag these up very rapidly, but this just makes it safer if things get slippery or you have a single tech. And I'll show you when we get to that end of the box how that is run, but this is all the wiring that's installed. This clip down here, big piece of angle, this is what one of the general suction machines locks into when we're in storing it in the truck here, so it doesn't go anywhere. Medical kit, paper towels, just a workbench with more storage totes down here. We have a lot of storage in here. 2 long shelves here. These are typically used for the lighter duty hose. It's just a little easier to get them in and out. The lighter duty hose, which we would use with an electric negative air machine. Moving back over here then to the compressor. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in this video. We're going to shoot an independent video that talks about both of our large compressors, this one and our secondary one. We will, however, talk about the winch. So if we step over here, this is where the coil where we keep the winch controller. You can see that I can move that there. This coils out. We have a 10-foot ramp, and then again, if you're a single operator, you can coil this out, grab the back of the gas-powered general machine, hook the hook up to it, and then drive it right up in here very safely and securely. So this is an overview of the truck while it is empty. Alright, our main duct truck here. This is a 2001 GMC Savannah cutaway van. We bought it in 2005 when it was 4 years old. The lettering on the side will be removed by us when the company is sold. I would suggest having this wrapped with a vinyl wrap to cover up any of the glue residue with your new logo. Take a look around here. Tires are in excellent shape. They're probably, oh, I don't know, maybe 60%, 70%. We put these on, 3 years ago, 4 years ago maybe. These tires went on. Here's the interior. Just under 150,000 at the moment. Great running truck. Let's take a look in the back. Have a trailer hitch, 10-foot ramp that pulls out. Hung some lights in here so you could see. A lot of this equipment you've seen before. I don't think I've mentioned the ladders. We have a 6-foot ladder and a 4-foot ladder. I don't have a lot of the equipment back in here yet. But really you can kind of configure this however you want and stick a lot of the equipment in here. We usually would put a negative air machine there, our pogo up on here, and the big 2x2 pogo adapter there. Here, as you can see, a lot of the hoses and whips are hung. Got a big shelf up here that can be utilized. Again, the winch in the front. Got shelving or bins down underneath this little workbench. "16-foot long, if I didn't already say that. Here's where all the hoses are kept. I got 9 hoses in here right now. The bottoms are doubled up. The first 3 are doubled with a 12 and an 8, and 3 8s on top of that. These here are that's what swings out of the way to let you get the hoses out. This here is one of our backup trucks that I'm basically going to list as an option. Probably wouldn't be included in on the sale unless you wanted to negotiate it in. This is what we would use as our secondary truck. Typically we have big magnets that cover up the lettering there with our own logo, but we've had this guy kind of act as storage for a few months here while we get everything ready for the sale and put extra stuff in it. We are the second owner. As you can see, Gunderson Lutheran out of La Crosse had this new. It was a laundry truck. So it's a 1-ton Chevy with a 12-foot box and a lift gate. We'll do kind of a walk around here. It looks awful rough, but I tell you, this is one of the best running trucks we have. We just stuck a lot of money into it, and I wouldn't hesitate taking it cross country. Brand new tires, maybe 3,000 miles on them. I don't know if you can pick that up there. It has all new tune-up, plugs, wires, cap, rotor, a new cooler for the power steering. Again, doesn't look like a whole lot, but it is a great running truck. Take a look at the inside here. This is where I've been putting some of the equipment after I've been getting it on video. Translucent roof, which makes it a lot brighter. We replaced quite a few of the hinges for the rear door. You can see down there some new hinges. It has the D-track system for strapping things in. Again, we have, as we've mentioned probably many times, we have enough equipment to set up 2 trucks. Should you want 2 trucks to start off with, this is one that we would offer up for sale, with the sale of the rest of the business, if that's something that you would desire. Didn't get a shot of the interior here. Let's see, where are we at? 144,000 miles on this.